Open the door of your refrigerator right now, in your mind, and look at this shelf where the fruit sits. I would put money on what I'm about to say. There are two, maybe three things sitting there. Perhaps a few apples gone slightly soft. A banana or two on the counter, browning at the stem. Maybe some grapes you bought with good intentions. And I would bet they are the same two or three things that have been sitting in that exact spot, week after week, for years. You did not choose them on purpose this morning. You reached for them out of habit, the way your hand knows the light switch in the dark. And here is the part that should stop you cold. The fruits your body is quietly begging for after the age of 60 are almost certainly not on that shelf. Not because you dislike them, not because you decided against them. You simply walked past them, the way you walk past them every single week. And no one ever pulled you aside to tell you what that quiet little habit is costing you. I am Dr. Evan Jake, and I have spent more than 30 years watching people cross into their 70s, their 80s, and beyond. And I will tell you something I have learned that the textbooks do not put in bold print. The difference between the patients who arrived at 80 still sharp, still steady on their feet, still lighting up when they told a story, and the ones who arrived worn down, foggy, fragile, was almost never some dramatic intervention. It was rarely a miracle drug or a heroic surgery. More often than I can count, it came down to small, daily, almost invisible choices, repeated over years, in ordinary kitchens like yours. And the patients who aged beautifully, the ones who shook my hand and said, "Doctor, I wish I'd known this 20 years ago," often thanked me for something as simple as what they decided to put in their grocery cart. Pause. So let me be the one to finally sit you down and tell you what should have been said to you a long time ago. After 60, your body is not the body you had at 40. It absorbs nutrients differently. It defends your brain differently. It holds onto muscle and bone with a looser grip every year that passes. And almost no one is ever taught to eat for the body they actually have now, instead of the body they used to have. Researchers studying healthy aging have found that the people who eat a wide variety of colorful fruits and vegetables daily can lower their risk of the diseases that steal those final decades by a meaningful margin, sometimes by a third or more. A third. From something sitting in the produce aisle you already walked past. Let that number sit with you for a moment. Not from a pill, not from a procedure, from a choice you make standing in front of a shelf. A choice that takes no more effort than the one you already make on autopilot. And I want to be clear about why this gets missed. It is not your fault. For most of your life, the message about fruit was a child's message. Eat your fruit, it is good for you, full stop. Nobody updated that message when your body crossed 60 and quietly changed the rules. Nobody told you that the body you now live in defends itself differently, repairs itself more slowly, and rewards specific choices in ways it never did before. That conversation simply never happened. So let it happen now. So here is my promise to you. I am going to give you 5 specific fruits, not a vague instruction to eat better. 5 exact fruits, each one belonging in your kitchen this week. Each one chosen because of what it does for the body you are living in right now. And each one matters more than the one before it. Stay with me to the 5th. Because the 5th is the one I would want my own mother to hear about. Let us begin with the one most people underestimate the most, the blueberry. Picture it. A small handful of them, deep blue, almost purple in the light. You have seen them in the store 100 times and thought, those are nice, but they are just a snack, a small thing, and you put them back. Here is what is actually inside that small thing. Those deep blue pigments have a name, anthocyanins. And researchers studying the aging brain have found something remarkable about them. These compounds can cross into brain tissue itself, where they appear to settle in like a protective shield laid gently over your aging neurons. Think of your brain cells as a city, and the years quietly wearing down the streets and the wiring. Anthocyanins act like a maintenance crew that slows that wearing down, protecting the connections that carry your memories, your words, your quickness. Studies on older adults who ate berries regularly have shown slower rates of memory decline, better processing speed, a mind that holds its edge longer. And this is where I want you to recognize yourself. That moment when a name is right on the tip of your tongue and will not come. The name of someone you have known for 40 years, and you have to laugh it off and circle back to it later. That afternoon fog where reading the same paragraph 3 times still does not land. Where you set the book down not because you are bored, but because your mind has gone soft at the edges. The quiet worry, the one you do not say out loud, that the sharpness you have always relied on is slipping a little each year. The hope, underneath all of it, that you could keep that sharpness, keep telling your stories at the dinner table without losing the thread, keep recognizing the faces and the names and the punchlines that make you, you. That is what we are talking about protecting, not some abstract statistic, the actual texture of your days. So be honest with me right now and comment the real number. How many times in the last week did you actually eat berries? Not bought them, ate them. That number tells you exactly how much of this protection you have been leaving on the shelf. The way to fix it is almost laughably simple. A daily handful. Fresh when you can, but here is what most people do not know. Frozen blueberries keep nearly all of those precious compounds intact, and they cost less. Throw a handful into your morning oatmeal, your yogurt, a glass of water even. 1 handful a day. Now the second fruit, and this one will surprise you, because it is a fruit a great many people over 60 deliberately avoid. They skip it out of fear. Fear of sugar, fear of calories, fear that someone once told them it was fattening. The banana. Tuesday morning, you stand at the counter, and you see it sitting there. And a little voice says, too much sugar, better not. And you pass it by. Let me tell you what you are passing by. Potassium. A banana is one of the most accessible sources of it on the entire planet. And after 60, potassium is not optional, it is structural. It is one of the master regulators of your blood pressure, helping your blood vessels relax and easing the load on your heart with every single beat. Cardiovascular researchers have linked adequate potassium intake to lower blood pressure and a reduced risk of stroke. But there is a second story inside the banana that almost no one tells you, and it is about your muscle. After 60, your body begins quietly dismantling its own muscle, a little each year, a process that steals your strength, your balance, and one day, your independence. Potassium and the resistant starch in a banana act like scaffolding around that aging muscle, support beams that help slow the breakdown your body is otherwise carrying out without your permission. This is about more than strength. It is about not falling. It is about getting up out of the chair without thinking, climbing the stairs without gripping the rail, carrying the groceries in from the car in one trip, staying in your own home on your own terms instead of someone else's. I have sat across from too many patients who traced the beginning of the end back to a single fall. A fall that came because the muscle and the balance had been quietly eroding for years while no one was watching. That erosion is not inevitable in the way you have been told. It can be slowed. And one of the simplest places to start is the fruit you have been afraid of for no good reason. So how often do you actually eat one? Comment the number and be honest about the fear that has been stopping you. The way to eat it? 1 a day, and here's the trick. Choose one that is still slightly green at the tips. A less ripe banana releases its sugar more slowly and steadily, and pairing it with a handful of nuts or a spoon of peanut butter steadies it further. Fear was never the right response to this fruit. The third fruit is the one sitting in plain sight, the one you have the most of and eat the least of, the apple. There is a bowl of them on a counter somewhere in your home right now, isn't there? And I would guess at least one of them has been sitting there long enough to go soft, untouched, for the better part of a week. We buy apples and let them become decoration. Here is what is going to waste. The soluble fiber inside an apple, and the polyphenols concentrated in its skin, function like a cleanup crew moving through your digestive tract. That fiber sweeps along, and more importantly, it feeds the trillions of bacteria in your gut, the quiet population that scientists now understand governs inflammation across your entire body. And inflammation, that slow internal smolder, is one of the great accelerators of aging. It stiffens your arteries, clouds your thinking, settles into your joints as a dull daily ache. You cannot see it, but you can feel its effects, and you have probably been blaming them on age itself, when much of it traces back to that smolder you could be calming. The fiber in a daily apple helps lower cholesterol, steadies your blood sugar so you avoid those sharp spikes and the crashing tiredness that follows an hour later, and quiets that inflammation at its source in the gut. Think of the steadier energy that would carry you through the afternoon instead of leaving you reaching for the couch. This is heart protection and metabolic protection in the most ordinary object in your kitchen. So stop and look, honestly. How many apples are sitting uneaten in your house right now, slowly going soft? Comment that number, because that is the protection rotting on your counter. The way to eat it? One a day. And this is critical. Eat the skin. Most of the polyphenols, most of the protection, lives in that skin you may have been peeling away and throwing in the trash. The fourth fruit protects something you cannot see until it is too late. Your bones and the very structure of your body. The orange. It sits in the bowl, bright and cheerful, and you leave it there. Because peeling it feels like a small chore, and you are tired, and the day is moving. So you reach for juice instead, or for nothing. Now you already know oranges have vitamin C. You have heard it your whole life, tied to colds and immunity. But let me reframe it for you completely, because the immunity story is the small story. The big story is collagen. Vitamin C is the essential ingredient your body must have to manufacture collagen, the protein that holds together your skin, the walls of your blood vessels, and the living framework inside your aging bones. Think about that. The elasticity of the vessels carrying blood to your heart and brain, vessels that stiffen and narrow with the years, the density of the bone that keeps a simple stumble from becoming a broken hip, the kind of break that changes everything about a life in a single afternoon, the connective tissue in your joints that lets you move without that morning stiffness, the ache that greets you when you first swing your legs out of bed. These structures quietly weaken with every passing year, and vitamin C is part of the daily reinforcement that slows that weakening. This is not about the dramatic deficiency disease your grandmother feared. It is about the slow, steady, daily reinforcement of the scaffolding that holds you upright and holds you together. And here is the recognition moment. Those mornings when your hands feel a little easier, when you rise from a chair and your knees do not protest, when you catch yourself moving the way you used to without thinking about it. That ease is not luck. It is built, day by day, from what you give the structures underneath. So let me ask you honestly, when did you last eat a whole orange? Not a glass of juice, which strips away the best part, a whole orange. The way to eat it: one whole fruit a day, and do not pick away all the white. That white pith, just under the skin, is where the fiber and the bioflavonoids concentrate, the very things the juice leaves behind. And now the fifth fruit, the finale. The one I save for last because it does not do one thing for you, it does many things at once. The pomegranate. You have seen it. Heavy, leathery, mysterious. And you set it back down because it looked like too much trouble to open. Let me convince you it is the most worthwhile trouble in the produce aisle. First, the pomegranate carries one of the densest concentrations of polyphenols and antioxidants of any fruit on Earth. While the other fruits each protect a system, the pomegranate sends defenders into all of them at once. Your brain, your heart, your vessels, your cells, everywhere the slow damage of aging is happening. But here's the second thing, the thing that genuinely excites the researchers studying longevity. Excited. Pomegranates feed the production of compounds called urolithins, and emerging research connects these to something extraordinary: the renewal of your aging cellular machinery. Your cells contain tiny power plants, and over the years they wear out and clog with worn components. Urolithins appear to help your body clear out that old, broken cellular material and rebuild fresh, a kind of internal renewal that we used to think simply stopped being possible with age. One fruit, touching your brain, your heart, your muscle, and the deep machinery of cellular aging all at the same time. This is why I saved it for last. The other four each guard a door. The pomegranate walks through the whole house. And if you add it to the other four, the protection does not just add up, it compounds, each fruit covering what the others miss, the way a good team covers for one another. How many of these 5 are already in your kitchen? Comment the number right now, because the gap between that number and 5 is the gap you can close this week. The way to eat it: the seeds, several times a week, eaten whole or scattered over yogurt. Never the sugary bottled juice that throws away the fiber and concentrates the sugar. The seeds, the real thing. So let me leave you with the truth that matters most, and it is a hopeful one. Your body responds at any age. This is not too late. It was never too late. The markers in your blood, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your inflammation, can begin to improve within weeks of changing what you eat. Not years, weeks. Your cells are being renewed constantly, every single day, quietly rebuilding while you sleep, and your brain remains capable of protecting itself well into your final decades. I have watched patients in their 70s turn a corner that their own families thought was impossible, simply by deciding to feed the body they actually have. I am not asking you to overhaul your life. Pressure exhausts people, and exhausted people quit, and I do not want you to quit. I am asking for something small and precise. 5 fruits. Add one to the cart tomorrow. Let me read them to you one more time, the way a friend would call them out from the kitchen doorway. Blueberries, a handful a day, for the shield over your brain. A banana a day, for the potassium and the scaffolding under your muscle. An apple a day, skin on, for the cleanup crew in your gut and the calm it brings to inflammation. A whole orange a day, pith and all, for the collagen that holds your bones and vessels together. And the pomegranate, several times a week, the finale, for the deep renewal of the cells themselves. 5 fruits. That is the whole prescription. Your body has carried you faithfully for more than 60 years. It has asked for so astonishingly little in return all this time. Now you know something you can finally give back to it, one handful at a time, one morning at a time. So do this for me before you do anything else. Think of one person, a husband, a wife, a sister, a brother, a friend who is aging right alongside you, and who deserves to know this just as much as you do. Send them this video right now, today, while it is in front of you. Because passing this on is not a small thing, and it is not optional. It is an act of love. I am Dr. Evan Jace. Take care of the body that has taken such good care of you.